I'm Bambi Francisco, and I'm speaking with Kevin Hartz. He's the CEO and founder of Eventbrite, which is a San Francisco-based company that organizes events. Recently, Eventbrite raised $6.5 million from Sequoia and a number of high-profile investors. Kevin, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Bambi.
Since 2006, you've been operating pretty much around that time, and you've sold nearly 10 million tickets. So that's a lot of tickets today. What type of tickets are you selling? What kind of tickets are you selling? What kind of events are you hosting?
Well, what we consider what we're doing is democratizing tickets. I think in the past you've thought of Ticketmaster or very large ticket sellers as been something available just to the large NFL teams or to the Justin Timberlake concert, and we've brought that power down to everyone. And so it's really a wide range of tickets. It ranges everything from conferences to seminars to classes to workshops, you name it. We have yoga classes taught by individuals, but on the other hand, we actually, 2 nights ago, we had a fundraiser that was Ozzy Osbourne and Slash that was held through Eventbrite.
So that's just really the long tail of events. Any events that really surprised you besides the one that you just mentioned?
You know, I mean, I'm surprised every day. We look over each week in our staff meeting, what are the top 10 ticket sellers, and we saw a turkey trot given Thanksgiving, and you know, again, just this broad range that you name it. The exciting thing about Eventbrite is that we can't guess what the next event is going to be, or can't guess what kind of creative things will come up when people can publish whatever they want.
You know, it sort of reminds me of Evite. You know, you used to be able to, we used to send out, you know, I guess cards, right, invitations to get people together, and I guess Evite could have sort of grown up to do more than just, because they do put events together and they do the long tail of events. It's sort of something they could have, I guess, evolved into, was start selling tickets, don't you think?
Well, Evite is a media property, and they've done they had done a really good job at building up a media property of consumer events, of birthday parties and so on, but we're really in the transactional paid arena, and that's kind of semi-professional and professional events, and it's actually very different. It's more of a transactional element to it that distinguishes us.
Now, I remember reading in the New York Times article, you talked about how you didn't want to get into the big rock concerts or sporting events where I imagine there's a lot of money and millions of tickets to sell. Why don't you want to get into that, into those big ticket items?
Well, you do have to kind of walk before you run. We've been working on a great product since 2006 with a really fantastic product and engineering team, and what we've seen in technology just in general, you know, I'm involved, I'm an active angel investor in a lot of different companies and watch what's happening in the Valley, and I'm a kind of historian of sorts, and what you see is that companies start in one area and oftentimes move up. We saw this with Salesforce. I think you would have never imagined Salesforce moving or challenging Siebel, and yet it happened. But we've got such a large market where we are right now that we're just enjoying the boost that we're having and really mastering this area.
I can't imagine it's easy to size this because you're really getting a lot of new people. For instance, I'm totally new to Eventbrite, and I've used it a couple of times already, actually several times, not just a couple, and several times. So when you think about how you size this market, how big is this market when you talk to Sequoia and say, you know what, this is how many tickets we think we can sell?
Well, Sequoia is a TAM investor, and what that means is they look at total addressable market as their primary criteria. So they want to get involved in companies that are playing in enormous, gigantic, industry-changing markets. So that was very heavily scrutinized. And it's more. My previous company was very simple to kind of sell to Sequoia in the sense that money transfer. My previous company was a company called Zoom, and we're competing with Western Union, and there's a clear $40 billion revenue opportunity that's sized out by all these market analysts on Wall Street because Western Union and other companies play in that space. In our case, we had to go through vertical by vertical by vertical and kind of demonstrate that there's classes and reunions and conferences and participatory sports and non-participatory sports and social events and so on. And when you aggregate that, we're actually really excited to see how big the market was. And its overall ticket value is in the billions.
So in a several billion-dollar market is
Yes.
what you're going
Well,
after.
we look, if you look at eBay or PayPal, they measure gross transaction volume. So eBay and PayPal have gross value, and they do that in the tens of billions of dollars, and we feel our space is in that side. And then what we take in revenue is actually a fraction of that. So we capture a transaction fee, and we feel that's in the low billions of dollars per year and growing.
I want to talk about your business model and transaction fee in the next interview, but just quickly, you raised $6.5 million, and part of that is to help integrate Eventbrite into Facebook and Twitter. Can you talk a little bit about how you're going to be integrating with Facebook and Twitter?
You know, again, what we always see is we learn a lot from history, and in the case of PayPal, they did a light integration with eBay, and it really took off. We've spent a lot of time integrating with Facebook, and surprisingly, it's really taken off. So over the last 12 months with the innovation and the launch of Facebook Connect, we've been pleasantly surprised at the amount of traffic that it sends. And the reason is that events are social. So when you attend an event, when you go to Vader Splash, which is coming up in a few weeks and is hosted through Eventbrite, and say I purchase a ticket for that event, it's going to show up in my social graph. It's going to show up in Facebook.
Yeah.
And others that are following me or connected to me through my social graph are going to see that, my friends and colleagues, and attend that too. So while Google Organic, we'd always felt we'd build this business on SEO traffic and organic search traffic, what's happened now is Twitter and Facebook are actually outstripping the amount of traffic to our site.
And they're a bigger driver to your site.
Yes.
Than Google Organic.
Than Google Organic. And we actually really feel we're the first incarnation of social commerce.
So I see the benefit of Facebook, and that's great, because now people are buying tickets and for Vader Splash, and it shows on their social graph. What about Twitter? How's Eventbrite?
Much the same. So event holders can now tweet in real time, message things out, but others, we follow people of like interest, and the various people that I follow, whether in tech or entertainment or music or sports or so on, they're attending events, and so they're naturally sharing. Say the folks that I follow, if I'm following you, Bambi, I'll see that you're posting Vader Splash or attending another event or so on, and it's socialized through Twitter.
Okay, well, I'm going to have you make sure that you tweet and put that on your Facebook wall, Vader Splash, Kevin.
Thank you.
Kevin, you're going to stick around because we're going to talk about your business model and the fees and the money you're generating, which is a significant amount. So, Kevin, thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
I've been speaking with Kevin Hartz. He's the CEO and founder of Eventbrite. I'm Bambi Francisco.